Anything from the community members? Go once, twice, three times. Roll call vote for final reading. Hold on. Could I get the legislation read into the second reading? I'm sorry, but before we change the amendment.
Mr. Mr. Doug.
Hold on, Lorraine. Troy. Mr. Cook,
Yes,
are you on the line?
Yes, Pro Tem Chair, go ahead, I'm listening in.
I'm going to ask you one question. At the committee level, do we have to have a second reading? I know at the nomination council level, we have to have the second reading, and at the committee level, does the second reading have to happen?
It is wise to go ahead and read into the record as to what the amendments are, Pro Tem Chair.
Okay then. All right. With the second reading of the, before we call for main roll call vote, can I get the information read into the record for the second time? Maureen?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So the legislation 013121, you will be replacing Exhibit A and Exhibit B. You'll be swapping out with the old one and then inserting the new one, Exhibit A and Exhibit B. And then going to page 2, line 22, there'll be a new section 4, and it will read as follows. Section 4, recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee carryovers for the Nomination Labor Commission. A, Law and Order Committee recommends the carry over of all unexpended balances for Nomination Labor Commission. Business Unit 101014. Mr. Vice Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much. Then that amendment into the record for the second time. With that, we have a motion in place. We have a second in place, and go around the horn. Sherelle, go ahead and proceed with roll call vote.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair, Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene Sill, how do you vote?
Votes is your delegate.
Honorable Eugene Sill votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto Sill, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto Sill not voting and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent, Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Motion carries for the main motion. 3 in favor, 0 opposed, Vice Chair not voting, and with Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. With that, I think all the legislation has Honorable Chair, Madam Chair Newton, and Honorable Eugene Sill as the sponsor. So I'm gonna, if it's okay, Madam Chair, I'm gonna hang on to the to the gavel here and move on with the legislation.
That's fine with me, Vice Chair.
Okay then. With that, we're gonna go on to the next item on the legislation on the agenda is legislation number 0134-21. Could I have or correction? 133-21. Could I get that read into the record?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Tracking number 0133-21, an action relating to Law and Order Committee approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the Nomination, Ethics and Rules Office be enacted. Section 1, Authority. A, the Law and Order Committee is a standing committee of Nomination Council. 2, NNC Section 600A. B, the Law and Order Committee is the oversight committee for the Nomination, Ethics and Rules Office. 2, NNC Section 601C1. C, each oversight committee shall review and make recommendations to the Budget Finance Committee concerning the budget in accordance with the annual budget instructions 12 and NC 840A, Section 2 findings. A, the Law and Order Committee held a budget hearing and took budget testimony regarding the Navajo Nation Ethics and Rules Office fiscal year 22 budget 12 and NC Section 840A. B, Law and Order Committee recommends to the Budget Finance Committee a fiscal year budget for the Navajo Nation Ethics and Rules Office 12 and NC Section 840A, Section 3, approving and recommending to the Budget Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the Navajo Nation Ethics and Rules Office. A, the Law and Order Committee hereby acknowledges the proposed Navajo Nation fiscal year FY 2022 budget for the Navajo Nation Ethics and Rules Office recommended by the Navajo Nation Office of the Speaker as provided on the fund type budget summary attached as Exhibit A. B, the Law and Order Committee requests that the Budget Finance Committee and the Navajo Nation Council adopt the changes to the budget as set forth in the General Fund Comparative Summary. Exhibit B, recommended changes to the General Fund budget. Exhibit C, recommended condition of appropriation and legislative concerns. Exhibit D, and recommended on that needs. Exhibit E. C, the Law and Order Committee authorizes the committee chairperson or vice chairperson to meet and negotiate with the Budget Finance Committee on these recommendations. Attached are Exhibit A, which is the fund type budget summary. B, Exhibit B is the general fund comparative summary. Exhibit C is the recommended changes to the general fund budget. Exhibit C is the recommended changes to the general fund budget. Exhibit D is the recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns. And Exhibit E is the recommended unmet needs budgets and has gone through the 5-day comment, and there are no comments received. Mr. Vice Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna go ahead and attend resolution number 0133-21 pertaining to the budget hearing or budget legislation for ethics and rules. And with that, has been read into the record, and committee members, I'm gonna go ask for a motion at this time.
Eugene Soldier, no?
Motion by Eugene So, gonna call for a second motion.
Delegate James.
Second motion by Honorable James. With that, Madam Chair and Candice Martin, I guess you two are the Madam Chair is the sponsor and Candice Martin is the agent. So with that, Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you for that, I should say, Vice Chair Otto. So, committee members, we did have Ethics and Rules Office Director Candice Martin come before the Law and Order Committee on August 5th. I believe it was August 6th, 2021. At that time, she did present her budget, and there was time for questions and answers. I believe Ms. Martin does need an amendment at this time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Martin and allow her the opportunity to address any concerns that she has regarding her budget before we proceed forward. Ms. Martin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Vice Chair and members of the committee. Yes, as we indicated last week when we presented on our budget, we did have, I did find out that our exhibits were incorrect, so we corrected them with the assistance of OMB. I emailed the corrections to Laureen, and I provided hard copies to Mr. Cook. So we have two exhibits that needed to be corrected. Exhibit A, which had under the third column of the table, the general fund budget needed to be corrected. It should now read 541394. And then Exhibit B, under the third column, which is C, we didn't have an amount in there, so now the amount should be 541394. And so that's all that we needed to be corrected within our attachments for the legislation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Chair, does that conclude your presentation?
Vice Chair Otto, so yes, that does conclude our presentation. We do stand for questions at this time.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to move to the floor. Committee members, is there any questions to this legislation? And just as a reminder, it requires an amendment. So it would require one of the committee members to entertain an amendment here. Thank you. Committee members? Not hearing anything. Committee members, you go once.
Chanella? I'm looking
Okay,
for that
Eugene.
amendment. Where's that
Eugene
amendment?
So, Honorable Eugene So, the amendment.
I'm looking for that
has been
amendment.
The amendment has been already. Honorable Eugene So, the amendment has been already sent to Mr. Cook and Lorraine, and has been drafted. And I believe Mr. Cook, do we have the amendment ready to go on this?
Yes, Honorable Pro Tem Chair, the amendments have all been forwarded to the attention of all the committee members, including amendments section, and it's in place at this time, and it would just need to be read into the record now. With understanding, there was also an Exhibit B that needed to be amended, as the meeting on this explained that there was a 0 column, which now has a number there and under column C.
Okay. I have the amendment. Honorable Eugene So, the amendment was sent out at 8:54 a.m. by Troy Cook, all in one email. But the amendment has been sent out to us. So I'm looking for a motion to entertain the amendment. Are you going to step forward to?
I'll motion it.
Motion. Okay. Motion for amendment number 1. Amendment number 1 has been sent to the committee members, and we have that information. And the motion is made by Honorable Eugene So. Going to call for a second motion. Second motion for amendment number 1 for pertaining to amendment to legislation 0133-21.
Delegate James, second.
Honorable James, and thank you. With that, we have a motion in place, second in place, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward to Lorraine. Go ahead and read the amendment into the record at this time.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Amendment to legislation 0133-21, replace Exhibit A, which is the fund type budget summary. And then Exhibit B is the general fund comparative summary. And those will be swapped out from this legislation with the new Exhibit A and B. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And staff, I'm really amazed with how you guys emailed out the amendment where you have everything scanned in all at once. Particular to this legislation, you have the amendment language, Exhibit A and Exhibit B in there. And Johnny, I commend you guys, staff, for preparing it like this. Mr. Troy Cook and our legislative staff that is helping rose the law and order boat in the water here. So they did with that. Really appreciate that. With that, we have has been read into the record. We have a motion in place by Honorable Eugene So, seconding motion in place by Vince James for amendment number 1 for legislation 0133-21. With that, committee members, is there any questions to the amendment number 1? Not hearing anything. You go once, twice, 3 times. Roll call vote. Terrell, go ahead and move forward with roll call vote. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Is Dorothy here?
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto So not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Amendment number 1 for legislation 0133-21 has passed. 3 in favor, 0 opposed, Vice Chair not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. So with that, tonight, we have amendment number 1 has moved forward. With that, tonight, any other questions to legislation 0133-21? Not hearing anything. I'm gonna go once, twice, 3 times. Laureen, can you go ahead and have a second reading of the legislation, the amended portion of what language that was added in? Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, there's no language, but it only is going to be, it only is going to do is replace Exhibit A and Exhibit B.
Okay, thank you very much. That was the need for the record there. Okay, Terrell, go ahead and move forward with the main motion roll call vote for legislation 0133-21.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Is Dorothy here?
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto So not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. Honorable Vice Chair.
Talking to myself over here on mute. Thank you very much. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed, Vice Chair not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. Legislation 0133-21 moves forth, and it passes here at Law and Order Committee. So with that, moving on to the next legislation. Legislation number 0134-21 pertaining to the budget legislation for FY22 for the Navajo Nation Division of Public Safety. And the sponsor is Honorable Chairwoman Virginia Charles Newton and Honorable Committee Member Eugene So. With that, could I get staff to go ahead and read legislation 0134-21 into the record.
Okay, tracking number 0134-21, an action relating to Law and Order Committee approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the nomination, Division of Public Safety, being acted, Section 1, Authority, A, the Law and Order Committee is the Standing Committee Nomination Council. 2, in NC Section 600A, B, the Law and Order Committee is the Oversight Committee for the nomination, Division of Public Safety. 2, in NC Section 601C1, C, each oversight committee shall review and make recommendations to the Budget and Finance Committee concerning the budget in accordance with the annual budget instructions 12 and NC 8, Section 840A, Section 2 findings. A, the Law and Order Committee held a budget hearing and budget testimony regarding the nomination Division of Public Safety's fiscal year 2022 budget 12 and NC Section 840A. B, the Law and Order Committee recommends to the Budget and Finance Committee a fiscal year budget for the nomination Division of Public Safety 12 NNC Section 840A, Section 3, approving and recommending to the Budget Finance Committee to propose fiscal year 2022 budget for the nomination Division of Public Safety. A, the Law and Order Committee hereby acknowledges the proposed nomination fiscal year FY 2022 budget for the nomination Division of Public Safety recommended by the Nomination Office of the President and Vice President as provided on the fund type budget summary attached as Exhibit A. B, the Law and Order Committee requests that the Budget Finance Committee and the Nomination Council adopt the changes to the budget as set forth in the General Fund Comparative Summary. Exhibit B, recommended changes to the General Fund Budget. Exhibit C, recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns. Exhibit D, and recommended unmet needs. Exhibit E. C, the Law and Order Committee authorizes the committee chairperson or vice chairperson to meet and negotiate with the Budget and Finance Committee on these recommendations. Attachments are Exhibit A, which is the fund type budget summary. B is the general fund comparative summary. Exhibit C is the recommended changes to the general fund budget. Exhibit B is the recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns, and has gone through a 5-day comment process, and there are no comments received. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. With the legislation read into the record, gonna call for a motion.
Eugene So,
Motion made by Honorable Eugene So, and calling for second motion.
Delegate James, second.
Second made by Honorable James. With that, the legislation has been read into the record, and Madam Chair is the sponsor, and co-sponsor is Honorable Eugene So. So, Madam Chair, you have 20 minutes to present to the committee pertaining to legislation 0134-21.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. So with that, we did have this legislation that did come before us during the budget hearing. At that time, information was provided to this committee regarding the budget and also the needs for this particular department. So with that, we do have before us the legislation regarding public safety. I don't know if there is any amendments that need to be made, but at this time, I'm going to go ahead and allow my agent, Division Director Jesse Delmar. We are on 134-21, right?
Yes, on legislation 134.
Okay, just making sure. So we do have Jesse Delmar who is on the line. Director Delmar, I'm going to turn the floor over to you in the event that there's anything that you would like to add regarding this legislation. Mr. Delmar?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and also the Law and Order Committee that they have been. Madam Chair, we do not have any amendments at all. All the forms that were requested from us yesterday, they were submitted by 5 o'clock yesterday evening. So I have none, ma'am.
Thank you for that, Mr. Delmore. So with that, committee members, again, the information, we do stand for questions at this time.
No,
Madam
oil.
Madam Chair, if I may interject, this is Troy from Office of Legislative Counsel.
Troy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just wanted to entertain a potential amendment and discussion that we received early this morning. It's in essence of replacing the current Exhibit A that was dropped and amending that and substituting a new Exhibit A. So I believe that will be the only amendment that would need to be entertained at this time.
I make a motion to amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. So there is an amendment to this legislation, and Madam Chair, does that complete your report here to the committee?
Yes, it does, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee members, Legislative Council and Division Director Jesse Delmore has spoke about an amendment. So with that, an amendment will be required for this legislation, and the amendment is submitted to the committee already. We have that document, and at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to for amendment number 1.
I motion to replace those amendments.
All right, then. Motion by Honorable Jean So. And call for a seconding motion. Seconding motion for amendment number 1. And we go once. Twice. 3 times. Amendment number 1 fails, committee members. So, doesn't move forward. With that, the amendment that has been proposed, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the floor. Committee members, is there any questions to this legislation or to entertain this amendment again? Not hearing anything. And go once, twice, 3 times. Second reading for the there's no amendments or anything, so I'm going to go ahead and move forth to with the legislation. And roll call vote. Sherelle.
So, Mr. Zulon would need to have an updated form or exhibit E. Okay. And you could just replace them, but.
Troy, please make sure your phone is muted. We can hear you and Dana's conversation.
Actually, Madam Chair, there is nobody in my office at this time. She might be on another call at another location.
I do apologize, Troy. I thought she was talking to you. Dana, we can hear your conversation.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. With that, roll call vote. Terrell, move forward with roll call vote.
Okay. Okay, Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Oh, that is, thank you.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 2 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto So not voting, Honorable Vince James not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Vice Chair not voting. Honorable Vince James not voting. And Edmund Yazzie, Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. So with that, the motion carries, and thank you very much for the presentation for legislation 0134-21. With that, I'm gonna move on to the next item on the agenda here is legislation 136-21. Can I get staff to go ahead and read that legislation into the record?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Tracking number 0136-21, an act relating to Law and Order Committee approving and recommending to the Budget Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the nomination public defender. Be enacted section 140A. The Law and Order Committee is the standing committee of the Nomination Council. 2, NC section 600A. B, the Law and Order Committee is the oversight committee for the nomination public defender. 2, NC section 601C1. C, each oversight committee shall review and make recommendations to the Budget Finance Committee concerning the budget in accordance with the annual budget instruction 12 NC section 848. Section 2 findings. A, the Law and Order Committee held a budget hearing and took budget testimony regarding the Office of the Nomination Public Defenders fiscal year 2022 budget 12 NC section 848. B, the Law and Order Committee recommends to the Budget Finance Committee a fiscal year budget for the Office of Navajo Nation Public Defender 12 NC section 840A, section 3, approving and recommending to the Budget Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the Office of Nomination Public Defender. A, the Law and Order Committee hereby acknowledges the proposed nomination fiscal year FY 2022 budget for the Office of the Nomination Public Defender recommended by the Nomination Office of the President and Vice President as provided on Fund Type Budget Summary. Attached as Exhibit A, B, the Law and Order Committee requests that the Budget Finance Committee and the Nomination Council adopt the changes to the budget as set forth in the General Fund Comparative Summary. Exhibit B, recommended changes to the General Fund budget. Exhibit C, recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns. Exhibit D, and recommended unmet needs. Exhibit E. C, the Law and Order Committee authorizes the committee chairperson or vice chairperson to meet and negotiate with the Budget Finance Committee on these recommendations. Attached are the Exhibit A, which is the Fund Type Budget Summary. Exhibit B is the General Fund Comparative Summary. Exhibit C is the recommended changes to General Fund budget. Exhibit B is the recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns. Exhibit E is recommended unmet needs budgets and has gone through the 5-day comment process, and there are no comments attached. Mr. Chairperson. Vice.
Okay, thank you very much, Lorraine, for reading the legislation to the record. And with that, we have a, I'm going to call for a motion. I'm going to go ahead and call for a motion for 1-1. Calling for a motion, going twice.
Motion, Eugene So.
Motion by Honorable Eugene So. Second in motion.
Second, Delegate James.
Second by Honorable Delegate James. So with that, before I turn the floor over to the sponsor here, the motion here that's held, this legislation requires another amendment or an amendment, and the amendment has been sent to us. We had an amendment was set for public safety, but it didn't go through. There's no second in motion. So just so that you guys are aware that these amendments, we have staff that work on these amendments. Cool. With that, the amendment, with that, staff or correction, sponsor, you have 20 minutes. Present to the committee. You have the floor.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. Are you referring to me?
Yes, you have the floor for 20 minutes to present to the committee with your agent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Vice Chair Otto. So with that, committee members, we did have the public defender come before the Law and Order Committee yesterday, August 9th, 2021. Information was provided to the committee regarding the budget and also unmet needs that have been, I guess, discussed. In addition to that, Ms. Bowman did share with us the need for her office, and there was some changes internally that have to be made, so there is a request for an amendment. So with that, I'm going to go on and turn the floor over to Ms. Bowman to allow her the opportunity to address the community with any concerns that she has at this time regarding her legislation. Ms. Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Chair Pro Tem, Mr. So, and committee members. I did request that Form 3 on the whole budget be amended to reflect a position in the unclassified line item, the last one, to reflect SHIP rather than Crown Point. And that amendment was made, and it was sent to Ms. Spencer and Troy Cook and Lisa Jim. So I believe that has been incorporated into the current legislation. And other than that, I do have my unmet needs that I put in Exhibit E, and those are still requested. We didn't make any amendments to that. The only change that was made was the calculation was wrong. Instead of 100 and whatever it was, 190 whatever thousand, it should reflect $249,651. That change was also made several days ago, so that one should have been changed. Thank you. That's all I have.
Hey, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let this conclude your report.
Vice Chair Otto, so yes, it does conclude our report. We do stand for questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Committee members, before I go to the floor, an amendment is needed here for this particular legislation. And it is what that has been sent out to the committee members. And with that, committee members, go to the floor. Have any questions to the sponsor? Honorable Eugene So, you have a question.
I will entertain that as amendment. Notification of Yankee regards to the replacement Form 3 go with a new replacement. Auto also the Exhibit E with a new replacement. Motion.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion made by Honorable Eugene for amendment number 1. Committee members, the amendment, which was a discussion, came from a discussion that we had yesterday addressing the issue of the public defender's office. And there we have, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to call for a second motion. Call for a second motion again. Go what?
Am I allowed to second on that?
Yes, you can.
That,
Madam Chair. Second
okay,
by
I
Madam
can
Chair.
second.
Okay, with that, we move forward to have a motion in place, second in place. With that, could I have staff read the amendment into the record?
Mr. Vice Chair, what you'll be doing is replacing Exhibit E with a new replacement of Exhibit E, and also replace Budget Form 3 with a new Budget Form 3. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Amendment has been read into the record, and, committee members, is there any questions to the, amendment number 1? Not hearing anything. I'm gonna go once, twice, 3 times. Sherelle, go ahead and move forth with the roll call vote.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair, Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Vote is Dr.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto So not voting and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Motion carries, 3 in favor, 0 opposed, Vice Chair not voting, and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. With that, amendment number 1 moves forth. Committee members, we'll go back to the floor pertaining to legislation 0136-21. Is there any other questions to this particular legislation? Not hearing anything. We'll go once, twice, 3 times. Around the horn. Yeah.
Okay, Honorable Madam Chair Charles Newton, how do you vote?
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Vote is okay.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Edmund Yazzie, how do you vote? Honorable Vice Chair Otto So, you have 3 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 not voting, which is including Honorable Vice Chair Otto So not voting and Honorable Edmund Yazzie absent. Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Motion carries, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair, Vice Chair not voting, and absent is Honorable Edmund Yazzie for the record. With that, thank you very much, Ms. Nota, for reading the taking the roll call vote. With that, we're going to go on to the next item on the agenda is, hold on, guys, I'm sorry. Pull up my agenda here again. Next item on the agenda is legislation 152-21. 152-21. Could I get staff to read that particular legislation into the record?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Tracking number 0152-21, an action relating to Law and Order Committee approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice. Be enacted, Section 1, Authority A, the Law and Order Committee is a standing committee of the Navajo Nation Council. 2, NNC Section 600A, B, the Law and Order Committee is the oversight committee for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice. 2, NNC Section 601C2, C, each oversight committee shall review and make recommendations to the Budget Finance Committee concerning the budget in accordance with the annual budget instructions. 12, NNC Section 840A, Section 2, Findings A, the Law and Order Committee held a budget hearing and took budget testimony regarding the Navajo Nation Department of Justice fiscal year 2022 budget. 12, NNC Section 840A, B, the Law and Order Committee recommends to the Budget Finance Committee a fiscal year budget for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice. 12, NNC Section 840A, Section 3, approving and recommending to the Budget Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice. A, the Law and Order Committee hereby acknowledges the proposed Navajo Nation fiscal year FY 2022 budget for the Navajo Nation Department of Justice recommended by the Navajo Nation Office of the President and Vice President as provided on the fund type budget summary attached as Exhibit A. B, the Law and Order Committee requests that the Budget and Finance Committee and the Nomination Council adopt the changes to the budget as set forth in the General Fund Comparative Summary. Exhibit B, recommended changes to the General Fund budget. Exhibit C, recommended conditions of appropriation and legislative concerns. Exhibit D, and recommended unmet needs. Exhibit E. C, the Law and Order Committee authorizes the committee chairperson or vice chairperson to meet and negotiate with the Budget and Finance Committee on these recommendations. Attached is the Exhibit A, which is the fund type budget summary. Exhibit B, the general fund comparative summary. Exhibit C is recommended changes to the general fund type budget. Exhibit D is the recommended condition of appropriations and legislative concerns. Exhibit E is the recommended unmet needs budget. And this has gone through the 5-day comment. And there are no comments received. Vice Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much for reading the legislation to the record. And call for a motion.
Delegate James motion.
Motion by Honorable Vince James. And seconding motion.
Oh, okay, see.
Honorable Eugene So makes the second motion for legislation 0152-21. Looking at the amendments, there is no amendment, anything drafted for this particular legislation. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Madam Chair and her agent. You will have 20 minutes to present to the committee. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you, Vice Chair and committee members. Just for clarification, the Department of Justice did come before the Law and Order Committee during the budget report hearing on August 9th, 2021. At that time, budget information was shared with the committee along with some of the needs of the program and also needs, information regarding unmet needs. At this time, committee members, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to my agent, Madam AG Doreen McPaul, who can share some information about the budget, and also if there are any amendments that need to be made, Ms. Doreen can ask committee members at this time to make those amendments on behalf of the Department of Justice. So with that, Ms. McPaul.
Thank you, Delegate Charles Newton, and good morning, members of the Law and Order Committee. This is Doreen McPaul, and just to add on to the information that Delegate Charles Newton has already shared, when we came before the committee on last week on Friday, the 6th, we went over the budget forms for all 3 of the budget units within DOJ, for Office of Attorney General, for Office of the Prosecutor, and for Navajo Hopi Legal Services Program. And just for clarification to the committee, we do have 2 unmet needs budgets that we understood would be referred to the next committee. And so if there's any additional information or amendments that we need to have the Law and Order Committee act on in order for our unmet needs budgets to go forward, we would be happy to do that. But just for some information about our unmet needs within the Office of Attorney General, within the Office of the Prosecutor, in order to stay within our allocation, we budgeted vacancies within our departments at less than full-time, I believe 50% or lower for those positions. And so particularly for our Office of the Prosecutor, this is a recurring issue for that department, and the ability of the office to fill those positions. As the committee's aware from our last quarterly report, we do have several vacancies within the office. We had several staff members take advantage of the early retirement options, as well as staff that retired during the last fiscal year after serving upwards of 20, 30, and 40 years. So for our unmet needs, we certainly want to be able to present the information necessary for the committee to act on that, if that's how the committee would like us to proceed today. I do have our acting chief prosecutor, Mr. Vernon Jackson, on the line, as I have Barb Calvin from our office to go through the unmet needs budget, if that is something that the committee needs. I know that it's attached as an exhibit to the underlying legislation, so I'm not sure if that means it's included. So beyond that, I'm just happy to answer questions if there are any for Department of Justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for your presentation. And, well, hold on. Madam Chair, did you complete your presentation?
Vice Chair, at this time, it does complete our presentation, and we do stand for questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee members, I believe this is the presentation for legislation 0152-21, which has been presented before you, and by Madam Chair and the Madam Attorney General of the Navajo Nation. So there's some requests that have been made. We haven't received the amended language to speak to the unmet needs legislation and document to be inserted. And I'm gonna, before I go to the floor, we do have a motion to place second in place. But before I go into the floor, I'm gonna ask Mr. Cook, Mr. Troy Cook, with the information that Madam Attorney General has provided and requires an amendment, just wondering if you have the document. That's one. Number two, if not, if it's emailed to you, time frame of when you can crank out this amendment, and just get that information from you, Troy, before I go to the floor.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ottoso, for that question. I do not have any updated documents as an official request for an amendment or amendments. If I was to be forwarded the information as to what needs to be changed, I could definitely get on that as soon as possible. With understanding, I'm currently working on a last-minute amendment also for another legislation. But hopefully that should answer your question, Honorable Ottoso.
Okay, thank you very much. What I was going to request is that we go ahead and move to table this legislation, and that way we can address it at the tail end of the committee meeting. That way, Attorney General can proceed and submit documents over to your office. So that's I think that's an effective way that we can address this as guidance as for chairing this meeting at this time. That will give them time and give you some time to work on that amendment, Troy. Is that okay?
That would be fine, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair?
Before I go to the floor,
Chair?
who's that, Chair?
This is Lorene from
Maureen,
Legislative. So under exhibits, Exhibit E, there's already a recommended unmet needs budget in the amount of 664,274. Thank you.
664,274. Okay, Madam Attorney General, does that 274 that's listed in the current legislation reflect the unmet need that you are speaking to?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So I believe it does. I would have to do a little bit of math, but we do have two, because they're in different budget unit numbers. The one for budget unit 104001 for Office of the Attorney General is $200,583. And the one for budget unit 104002 for the Office of the Prosecutor is $463,691. So it sounds like the right amount, but I would have to add those two numbers together.
Okay, thank you very much. I read 64,274, and this number that you gave me is way over. So I think best thing to do is I'm going to go ahead and call for I'm going to recommend that this legislation be tabled and immediately email that information, the current information to Troy, and that way Troy can go ahead and crank out an amendment for the unmet need that you are speaking to. And then the other thing is that
I don't know what happened.
Is there any other,
Doesn't work.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Any other requests? Is there any other requests at this time from you, Madam Attorney General?
Vice Chair Otto, if you can give me some time, thank you.
Okay. Madam Attorney General, is there any other requests that you have at this time?
Thank you. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair, there's too many machines going on, so I had trouble hearing part of the comments that you made.
Madam Attorney General, you have the floor.
I'm here, Vice Chair, thank you. And we'll get the unmet needs exhibits sent over to Troy right away for the amendment. But we'd also ask the committee for a full carryover of our dollars for fiscal year 22. Vice Chair, thank you.
Yeah, I turned my.
Okay. Thank you very much. The other request for an amendment for full carryover. So with that, Troy, the information will be emailed to you by Madam Attorney General for us to entertain this amendment, and we'll have that dialogue between you and the Attorney General, so you can crank out this amendment here. And with that, committee members, I'm going to turn to the floor now. I'm going to recommend that with the amendment required for Department of Justice, I would request for you guys to table this legislation until the end of until at the end. So that way we can give our legislative council some time to entertain the legislation. So that's the time frame that I'm requesting. And with that, committee members, I'm going to turn it over to the floor now.
Another?
Oh, Honorable Eugene So.
Asha, what age all this? If I making a motion for that amendment regards to two things that they're requesting, a carry over these national Nasinito Sadio carry unmet needs to motion it now while it's being drafted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Eugene So. Yes, we can do that here. Also, we can motion it now, and then we'll just go ahead and press Mr. Troy Cook to go ahead and crank out the amendment. And with that, I was gonna go ahead and, entertain that, amendment number 1. Motion made by Honorable Eugene So, pertaining to the unmet need of the Department of Justice, the updated document, and the full carryover request. And that would require a language that Office of Legislative Counsel has. So with that, I don't second the motion.
Second, Delegate James.
Second by Honorable Vince James. Okay, with that, with this amendment that's on here, that for amendment number 1, speaking to the unmet need budgets and the full carryover. Troy, we know that we don't have the document now. Can you give us a time frame about how many minutes you can crank out this that amendment?
Honorable, looking at the time frame right now, and with the other legislations coming after this one, we probably would have to at least give it a good 45 minutes to an hour, just to make sure that everything's in place and that I don't miss anything and or we don't get additional documents. Sometimes we get documents that are overlapping, but otherwise I'm prepared to do it within the 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, we have 2 options, and I can go ahead and move forth to call a recess for 1 hour. That way you guys can get something to eat, allow you guys some time, and then we can come back and reconvene. The other is we can table this and put it at the end of the legislation, of the agenda, and that way we can entertain the last legislation on the agenda, and from there we can get to it again. So we have 2 options pertaining to this matter, and committee members, how do you wish to address this time?
Vice Chair?
This time. Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Yes, Vice Chair, as sponsor of this legislation, I am in favor of tabling legislation number 0152-21 and moving it to the very end of the agenda. I would like to ask the committee members if we could go ahead and proceed forward to entertain legislation number 0153-21. And upon completion of hearing legislation number 0153-21 and making an official vote, I would like to ask that we then go into a 1-hour recess to allow Troy the opportunity to correct the legislation 0152-21. That's my recommendation at this time, Vice Chair.
Awesome, thank you very
If
much.
I may interject, Vice Chair.
Troy, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. And respectfully, Madam Charles Newton, as you were speaking on 153-21, I'm currently working on last-minute amendments to that. It should be pretty easy. I just need to get it uploaded. Basically, it's replacing Exhibits A through E for that legislation. And I believe also we need to attach another amendment, which I believe through my notes, it was recommending also a carryover. So those will be 2 separate documents, Madam Chair and Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. With that time frame, additional time is needed to complete the legislation or the amendment for the next legislation. So, Madam Chair, since you're the sponsor for the 2 legislation, one way that we can move forth is we can go ahead and just go into recess right now for 1 hour. I'll give Troy, from Legislative Council, ample time to take care of the amendment. Then we'll come back we'll come back as a committee in 1 hour. Is that okay?
So we would recess for an hour?
Yes, we would recess for an hour, and that would allow Troy to finish up the amendment for legislation 0153 and amendment for this current legislation of 0152.
That sounds good. I'm good with that. As sponsoring legislation, I'm good with that.
Okay. With that, I'm going to go ahead and utilize the committee chairperson's powers at this time, and I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to be in recess for 1 hour, starting at 11:02. It's 11:02, so we will reconvene at 12:02. Committee members, so we are on recess now.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm going to hang up now.
Yeah, that's my gavel. All right.